Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 19 of Season 2 of our F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, where today we're here back ready for the US Grand Prix. 4 races to go of Season 1 of our Career Mode, and the title fight, continues to heat up. Obviously, if you missed out on yesterday's video from the Japanese Grand Prix, I would definitely recommend going back and check that one out. There'll be a link at the top right hand side of your screens to the full playlist from this series. But yeah, really looking forward to diving into this weekend. Hopefully we'll get some confirmation about if we're going to get some rule changes ready for Season 3. You can see we've got a lot of upgrades on the car now. So ideally, if we do get any, it'll be on the durability side of things. But if we can keep everything all sorted, then we should be good on basically any one department at the moment. You can see we got an upgrade from Renault last weekend. I completely forgot to mention it, ready for the Japanese Grand Prix. It was the, the engine power turbo size upgrade. So we got that on the car. We have actually got another couple, I think, coming before the end of the year. So a couple more upgrades coming from Renault still. Things you love to see. Anyway, let's dive in then here for the US Grand Prix weekend. About to start our qualifying simulation run then. I'll be honest, I'm still very worried we're suddenly going to get rule changes sprung upon us for next season. We haven't had any email come through from the team saying there might be any or anything like that. But I'm just trying to get as many points as possible. And, I mean, if we don't end up with any, then obviously we can just put them into the car ready for Season 3 anyway. Seb really getting in the way at the end of our qualifying simulation run. Come on, man, just get off the road. Just costing us so much time through the final couple of corners here. We're going to be way down at the end of this lap. Is Seb going to get out of the way? No, still just sat there. Come on, Seb. Surely you got to understand there's a car behind you. Nope, clearly not. So we are going to fail one practice program then in the end. So, free practice done and dusted then, about 900 R&D points on the board. Yeah, having a look through the emails. We got an email saying we got too much money at the moment. Worst problems to have, I'll be honest, in Formula 1, but we need to try and save some for George's contract. But yeah, we just don't really want to risk it at the moment. We could get the last upgrades we need on the car ready for the next couple of race weekends. In fact, I think we could basically finish off all the upgrades we need on the car, but we're not going to. We're going to be sensible. We have really, not got that many upgrades left on any department, if I'm not mistaken either. Only about, 6 more on each altogether, but they are all, I think, major upgrades as well. Let's dive into qualifying then here at COTA. Heading out then straight into Q2. Obviously, we should be getting through to Q2 nice and easily every week. Well, I mean, this car, or our cars, have managed to get pole position in the last 3 Grand Prix in a row. And George Russell in Q1, half a second clear of Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. So it's all looking good heading into this weekend. We struggled a bit with pace in Q1, but we did make a couple of mistakes on our lap. It's just trying to get used to how early you've got to brake to a couple of corners now, just due to the insane amount of speed this thing's able to carry. We should be looking at about a high 28 if we want to be around the Mercedes. I don't think we'll be able to match George on 1 lap pace. Coming down in towards the final couple of corners then of our first lap. It hasn't been the best run in the world, but hopefully it'll put us somewhere roughly where we need to be. I'm going to guess it's going to be sort of a mid-29. With a bit of luck through the final corner we go. It's going to be a 129... A 129.9? That's nowhere near good enough. Into Sector 3 then. We're about 4 tenths up on our previous best at the moment. It really, again, hasn't been the best lap in the world. Just struggling for pace around this COTA circuit. But in towards the final few corners, hopefully we'll be there to get into Q3. We really shouldn't be going out in Q2 at any point at this stage of the year. In towards the final corner, a lot of understeer. Come on, get to the line. That's not been a good run. I think we've done it though, as we crash over on autopilot. P15, P8. I don't know why it keeps doing that now. It tells you the position you were in originally. I don't know if it's to try and prevent the weird flashback glitch that goes on. But yeah, look at that. A second off our teammate George Russell there. Mercedes Hamilton finding a lot more pace at the end of their second runs there, down into the 28s as well. But yeah, we need a lot of time in Q3 if we want to be anywhere at the moment. We need to be into at least close to the 28s. Here we go then into Q3, because it took us 2 shots in Q2. We're only going to get 1 chance at this lap. That might make the difference at the end of the day. At the final corner, we need to get this absolutely hooked up if we want to be anywhere near where we should be, ready for the US Grand Prix. Down in towards turn 1, got to brake so early nowadays. Like I said, with how much momentum this car carries down the straights. Struggling, yeah, just to try and keep it tidy around a lap at the moment. So as we head into the S's, just keep it in 7th gear, a bit of a blend on the way through. Just try and make sure we get the car rotated over, taking a lot of curb where we can. The FI, just like last season, being fairly lenient with the track limits as we head through the end of the S's. Fairly tidy run there, using up the track space as much as possible, braking just at the 100 board. Down into the hairpin, just try and roll on the power nicely. There we go. Things you'd love to see. I know I say that way too much in these videos, but it's kind of now our catchphrase, I feel, in this series. Down the back straightaway, though. So far, it's been an okay lap. We need to try and make sure we keep it nice and tidy, though, into Sector 3. Just ride the curbs nicely on the entry. A little bit of wheel spin, but that's okay. I can't afford to even look at the gap to whoever it is that the game is measuring us to at the moment. But through in towards the Turkey S section. Actually, one of the only corners where we seem to gain a fair bit of time at the moment. We just try and keep it tidy, give ourselves the shortest run through the corner. Penultimate corner, one of the most difficult on the lap. We just about keep it using all the exit curb as well. One more turn to go then. That has been a fairly decent lap of Kota. Where is it going to be? A 28.9. That's what I'm talking about. Where's that going to put us? 10th? 4th? Again, I fall for the glitch. 4th place, that's okay. We got a lap in right when it mattered. I'm guessing it's our teammate, then both Mercedes.
It's time to remind ourselves of our top 3. Russell, Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry. We'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
So there we are then, the end of qualifying, and still that felt like a pretty hooked up lap, and George Russell was 6 tenths quicker than us at the end of the day. He is just an absolute machine on those one lap runs. It's probably the only way we can describe it there. Bottas in P2 ahead of Hamilton and myself, so the top 3 would have been the same had Bottas not quite qualified. It would have been the same as the Japanese Grand Prix last time out. But yeah, Bottas there, the only man to get within 3 tenths. We just edged out the Ferraris in the end by less than 1/10 of a second, as well as Ocon, who was rapid last week, seems to be on the pace once more here, and then a half a second gap down to his teammate Raikkonen there. Perez and Sainz round out the top 10, but we did well. We got the lap in right when it mattered. Let's move in then, ready for the US Grand Prix.
Here we are then in one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, the fabulous Austin, in the great state of Texas. The circuit itself 14 miles southeast of the city centre and home to the US Grand Prix since 2012. The latest in a long list of iconic tracks to have that honour. We're racing today then in Travis County, Texas, around the 20 corners of the wonderful Circuit of the Americas. We'll be reaching speeds of around 200 miles an hour, and there are plenty of good opportunities to pass, especially through the 2 DRS zones into turn 1 and the very long back straight into turn 12. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. So let's chat about Daniel Kvyat. There's a new gearbox in the back of that car, which means a grid penalty, and hopefully some excitement as they make their way through the field.
Fingers crossed that's one failure they won't have to worry about today at least. There's not much of a silver lining to starting down the field with a penalty, but I think they'll be able to make some of that back up over the course of the race.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. George Russell will begin today's event from pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Mr. Monaco, Sebastian Vettel, and Verstappen, Ocon, Raikkonen, Perez, and Carlos Sainz. Leclerc, Norris, Alexander Albon, and Ricciardo, Stroll, Gasly, Nobuharu Matsushita, and Kevin Magnussen, De Vries, Kvyat, King, and Nicholas Latifi. And now it's time to head down to the track.
We're still second to Bottas, but you're in a position to claim the Drivers' Championship, so give it your best shot.
Once again there, the message from Jeff loud and clear. The title battle rages on as we head to the US Grand Prix, a track that Hamilton is the only man to have ever claimed a World Championship at, if I'm not mistaken, as well there. But yeah, a soft-hard strategy should be fairly simple. We might be able to make the soft-medium strategy work once again, just like we did last time out at the Japanese Grand Prix. Yeah, we'll give that a whirl. It worked out beautifully for us last time. Let's see if it works out beautifully for us as well here today. But yeah, the aim is just simple. Beat that Mercedes that starts just in front of us. We might be able to go for a bit of a dive into turn 1. We will see what happens. But we're ready then on the grid for the US Grand Prix. Round 19 of the season. 4 races to go here of 2020 Season 2. It's 5 red lights and it's the lights out. And away we go, trying to avoid the wheel spin. Not the best getaway in the world. Hamilton's going to go a bit defensive. Oh no! Big lockup into Valtteri Bottas there. That's instantly given us some front wing damage. We get a warning for a collision with Hamilton as well there, but that has not been what we needed off the start of the US Grand Prix. Bottas tried to keep the nose at the inside as we head into the S section there, but that has not helped us out. We completely snagged the front brake into turn 1. Couldn't get the rotation through the corner, and let's just see how bad that damage is on this opening lap of the race. You see George Russell already a 2-second race lead at the front of the field, but this is not good for us though. We are just losing time hand over fist at the moment as we head down into Sector 2 onto the back straightaway. We might have to go for a very early pit stop in this race. Front wing damage really does cost you on F1 2020, so let's just see what we can do. Coming to the end of lap 1, George Russell obviously gets new fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We've lost a few more tenths to our teammate in the second half of the lap, but it hasn't been as drastic as I thought it would be. The bigger thing that I'm worried about is the fact that it's probably going to shred the tyres a little bit quicker as well. So we're probably going to have to go back onto the hards and pit sort of lap 8 to try and get those to the end instead, if, of course, this front wing damage stays how it is. There we go, Bottas now trying to get a bit of a run down at the end of the S's. Oh, a lot, even more contact between myself and the Mercedes. We might be able to get the run off the exit of the corner there. We luckily didn't pick up any more damage from that one. But yeah, Bottas, though, very quick down the straights. Our front tyres are already massively overheating at the start of this race, but we're going to try and hang the nose around the outside. He has to give us the room on the exit. Not often do we get in big battles with our title rival Bottas, but this time round we defend from him firm but fair. George is just flying off into the distance though, which to be honest works out for me, as Bottas, I think they're just ran into the side of us. I'll be honest, end of lap 3, this isn't looking good. At the moment, we're just absolutely shredding these tyres. We can't even take the Turkey S section flat out at the moment. We're going to have to pit the end of this lap. We can't afford to go out and ruin these tyres and potentially risk even more damage at the moment. So end of lap 3, we are going to have to dive it in to the pits. That's definitely not helped us. No idea how we haven't ripped a wheel off there. But if we needed a front wing change, we certainly need one now. We're going to try and see how far the hards can take us in this race. You can see already we were overheating the fronts as well. But yeah, we should just have some clean air for a few laps. Hopefully that can help us out as well. But not a good start to the US Grand Prix. Now it turns into damage limitation. 8.4 seconds. Stop getting gear again. Just really struggling with that at the moment as well. But we got a good 15 seconds to the cars in front. Let's just try and get our head down and focus on our own race now. We can't focus on what mistakes we've made. Coming towards the end of lap 5. It's going to be our first proper lap on these hard compounded tyres. We're roughly still where we should be in terms of pace. 33.5 seconds behind our teammate George Russell though. Let's monitor that gap. That's not what we need in this Grand Prix, Jeff, I'll be honest, mate. Engine power down. Everything just doesn't seem to be falling into place today. It's the race from hell in the early stages. All I can really hope for, to be honest, is a good safety car comes in clutch and puts us back in contention here. We are matching our teammates' pace at the moment still, as George is, I think, further extending his lead over. I think is it Vettel in P2 and then Bottas third? I don't know for sure, but we just got to keep our head down and focus. There we go, end of lap 8. George is into the pits. I wonder if we're going to see either of the other top 3 in. No, both the Mercedes and the Ferrari opt to stay out for another lap. So hopefully we'll get a rough indicator of how far behind our teammate we now are in this Grand Prix. But yeah, really has not been the opening few laps that we needed here. That's not going to help us either. Back end just seems to get so loose through there every single time. That's been another chunk of time thrown away then. And our first warning of the day as well. Everything just doesn't seem to be working for us at the moment here. But we're going to come back at the pit lane. I think we're going to be ahead of one of the Mercedes. So clearly it hasn't been all too bad. But we're ahead of Raikkonen and Perez. So I think we are still up in net points at the moment. But not where we want to be. Load more cars into the pits then at the end of lap 9. So we should have a rough idea where we are again in this Grand Prix. I think we are, yeah, we should be inside the top 10 at the very least. We're going to be, no, 11th in fact, but we're ahead of Ocon though. So I think we're only, I think we're 6th, roughly there or thereabouts at the moment. But I've noticed some of the AI have actually gone onto another set of softs. So maybe people are trying to two-stop this race. That will probably help us. There we go, the last few cars then into the pits. So now we will find out where we are in this race. We are definitely back up into the points. I've noticed a racing point still quite high up the order. But yeah, I think we're back out then just behind all of our rivals at the moment, as Red Bull looking to try and go a little bit longer in this Grand Prix as well. This isn't about trying to beat Bottas today. It's about trying to lose as little as possible, I feel. There we go then. The last few remaining cars are now into the pits, so we should be back up into 6th. It will be 5th. Albon, how long are you planning on taking these softs, mate? But yeah, we should be back up then into 5th place, like I said. Hamilton seems to have been really, really screwed in the early stages of this race. Obviously, there is still potentially a constructors' battle going on, but we do need quite a lot of points over Mercedes week in, week out. So maybe we might have to kiss goodbye to that. There we go, Ricciardo into the pits at the end of lap 12. I did get it wrong, I got the wrong Red Bull as well. But we are now all struggling with energy supply issues as well. The team came over the radio saying that the energy store was struggling with wear, and the more energy we keep in the car, the more likely it is to deplete. So it's really not helping us. Everything is going against us today, but Verstappen is only a second in front. Maybe we can try and get round him still. On to lap 15. We've been really, really concentrating over the last couple of laps. The tyres seem to have come back in just a little bit. And now we're able to apply some pressure to Max Verstappen here as we head down in towards the end of the back straight. We've got a much quicker car than Ferrari at the moment. And it should be a fairly simple move. We've got the inside for the next corner. Maxi boy, I'll see you later. Let's see now if we can close it to Bottas, who's only 2 seconds up the road. Mercedes seem to get into the second half of the Grand Prix and absolutely just cannot do anything with their tyres. So maybe we're starting to see that again. Max out, who's struggling towards the rear of the field. I must admit a safety car now would be quite nice. We could get onto some mediums to the checkered flag. George has dived it into the pits, and Pierre Gasly out of the Grand Prix. That has worked out beautifully for our teammate George Russell. Holy moly, I didn't even know he was on the softs. But we're going to dive it in onto a set of mediums as well. Hopefully this will work out. So there we go then. One of the Ferraris of Vettel and Bottas are going to stay out, but we're going to take the risk here. I just don't believe these tyres are going to be in good shape at the end of the race to really make it worth it. Jordan King is out of the Grand Prix as well, so we've got 2 retirements there, almost simultaneously in this race as well. But where are we going to come out? We might lose a couple of spots actually, looking at the mini-map. I'd better not be getting a front wing change. Thank God I remembered to change that back. 4 seconds stop though, not ideal. We should be back out, I hope, in P7 of this race. Yeah, we do stay out ahead of Lando Norris. So there we go then, end of lap 18. We're going to have 10 laps to go to the checkered flag. We can see our rival, Valtteri Bottas, a few places up the road in his Mercedes. But yeah, we need to try and get around a few of the midfielders before we can focus on him. I'm hoping George Russell can make a bit of a breakaway. I don't really think we're going to be able to challenge him this race. He's just been absolutely rapid right from the very beginning. We're getting ready to go green then. Here from Kota, 10 laps to go. We've been given a lifeline as we almost completely ruin it going to the back of Stroll. Through the final corner, it is going to be green flag racing once again. Here from the US Grand Prix, tyres are cold. That's a nice reminder. George Russell leads up into turn 1 though. He's got fresher, quicker rubber than the guys behind him, so he should be able to make it work. We did see a few more cars behind us pit, but we need to be focusing on the cars in front. First up, Stroll. All over the back of the racing point as we exit out of the S's. We'll try and get a good run out onto the back straight as Stroll takes a lot of curb, locks up on the way into the corner as well, so we're going to be past him before we even get to where the DRS zone would be. But obviously DRS hasn't been enabled just yet. Back up then into P7 of the race as soon as possible. Next up then, Charles Leclerc. Might be able to go for a bit of a cheeky send in through Sector 3 up the inside. Should be able to make that work. Yes, we can. Charles tried turning on me, mate. Nice try. Never going to be able to make that one work. Up into 6th. On to lap 20. We just got so much more pace than the midfield runners at the moment. There's not really going to be much Ocon can do. As we head up the inside, he tries to give us another car, giving us a squeeze over the inside curbing. But going for our late lunges seems to be working. Up into 5th. Now it gets a little bit more interesting, as we've already overtaken Verstappen once today. Can we do it again? Out onto the back straightaway. We've really got to try and use the best of these medium compound tyres here. Verstappen has got the slipstream of Bottas just in front of him. We might have to go for a bit of a cheeky send up the inside at the end of the back straight. Always got to send it on Max Verstappen, and we've done it. Up into 4th place once again then of this race. I've got no idea. As you see there, Bottas really struggling on those tyres. Why on earth these guys all didn't pit onto a set of the mediums like myself and George have done in this Grand Prix, but we can't complain. We've got to take every point we possibly can at the moment. It'll be absolutely critical we get around Bottas nice and tidily though. Obviously we weren't able to make that work clean on lap 1, but anyway, through the final corner, can we open up a good run for ourselves? Let's just see. No wheel spin out of the final corner. We don't have much ERS to play with though. Rather unfortunately, we are going to be gaining though down in towards turn 1. Holy moly, Bottas a little bit earlier than I was expecting on the brakes. But we were way too deep into the corner, and we'll have to go for it again. On to lap 21. Now once again all over the back of Valtteri here. DRS has now been enabled though, so we're both going to close in quite substantially on Sebastian Vettel up this back straightaway, but we are still taking time out of Bottas. Might be able to go for a bit of a send. Thank you very much. This could be critical for our championship, and we've done it. Up at a P3 of the race. Purple Sector 2 as well. George though. Oh, Seb, look at that. Seb, what are you doing?
Be careful with the front wing.
As if we've got front wing damage again. We can't afford to pit this late into the race. What was Seb doing? Just sat on the exit of the corner there. That might, again, we've been given a lifeline, and it's completely gone away from us once more in this race. Losing straight away the place to Bottas again. We've now got so much damage on this car, we're going to have to limp it the final 8 laps to the checkered flag. Why can't Sebastian Vettel control a Formula 1 car? What is so difficult for him to be able to do it anymore? There's really not going to be much we can do to defend from the guys around us now. Verstappen tried to go for something, but he couldn't make it work. The team is saying we need to pit again, but really, if we've got any chance of points here, we need to just try and go for it. We're still in 4th, so we can afford to lose a few spots. But yeah, 7 laps to go then, here from the US Grand Prix. I cannot believe, as soon as we got past Bottas, as soon as I thought there was a golden opportunity here, Sebastian Vettel just drops it on the exit of the corner. We tried to pick one side to go around him, and he just moves across us. Not happy. T3, there's not going to be much we can do to defend. Luckily, we're still strong down the straights. It's just through the twisty bits that we lose all of our time at the moment. So if we can keep on hanging in there, even if it's just a couple more laps, it can make a big difference at the end of the race. You've got to try and pause the floodgates opening here, and don't let loads of cars suddenly start sneaking by. 4 laps to go then. I'll be honest, I do feel a little bit sorry for Esteban Ocon with just how aggressively we're having to defend from the Frenchman at the moment, but we need every point we possibly can get here, and if I believe there's a chance to hold on to P4, then of course we're going to take it. Let's just see though. I'm worried, yeah, like I said, if we let one car through, that everyone is suddenly going to pour past us, and we've got such a train now basically to the rear of the field here. But just look how much we're losing through the S section here, riding the curbs as much as we can. But still, every time Ocon tries to have a look at the inside through there, can't make it work though. 2 laps to go then from the US Grand Prix, and we might be able to do this. We might be able to hold on for P4 here. I'll be honest, I've given Seb a lot of stick this race as well for being useless behind the wheel, but if he can defend from Bottas to the flag, That might be rather handy for our championship as well. But Russell looks like he's set to take home his 4th ever win in Formula 1. And it'll be 4 wins apiece for us this season. The radio saying Ocon's had some major issues with just a lap and a half to go of this race. It's given us a little bit of freedom, as I think he's dropped back massively already in this Grand Prix. So it's, well, I would like to believe it's worked out well for us today, but it definitely has not been the case. George Russell, though, new fastest lap as he heads on to the final lap of this race. To the final lap of this US Grand Prix then. It's certainly been a day of ups and downs. It's certainly tested us to the absolute limit, but we've got to look at the positives here at the moment. It looks like we'll only finish 1 place behind our championship rival Valtteri Bottas, when in a lot of places I honestly thought we'd lose a lot of points to him this weekend. George Russell, our teammate, though, once again is proving just how rapid this car is at the end of this season. I'm just rather worried that Sebastian Vettel now on the final lap might... Sorry, Max Verstappen even, I should say. I don't know why I'm getting so many names wrong today in this series, but yeah, I'm just worried that Verstappen now might be able to get an opportunity on us on this final lap. We need to try and defend this P4 for all it's worth, because for all we know, it might be worth the World Championship at the end of the day. We've just got 3 races to go after today, and the gap looks to be just 7 points between myself and Valtteri Bottas in the World Championship. Through the final corner for our teammate, George Russell is a 4-time Grand Prix winner now. He is absolutely rapid in the latter stages of this year. Dominated the race on a lucky 2-stop strategy. The safety car might have helped him just a little bit, but that's the way Formula 1 works sometimes. He dominated qualifying, and he's dominated the US Grand Prix weekend. Another dominant display from George Russell, certainly a future world champion in the making. But somehow, after everything that has gone on today, we're going to defend from Verstappen, a bit of contact through the final corner, but it's going to be P4 at the flag. That's what I'm talking about.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
A truly magnificent drive and a great performance from the entire team to secure the win here in Austin. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, the safety car completely changed the race, didn't it? It's hard to say exactly what would have happened without it, but there's no question that they came out of that situation in a good position.
Well, I'm thoroughly exhausted after the excitement of that race, but I'm sure it's nothing compared to our drivers here. They've worked hard to make it up there, and it's great to see them make their way out onto the podium. And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
There's a few contenders, but George Russell definitely stood out, I think. A really solid drive from him today, and one I'm sure the fans enjoyed.
Let's move on to the constructors. Our championship leaders retain their position, but their lead is shrinking. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improve their position in the championship. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula 1.
So there we are then, the end of the US Grand Prix, and it is George Russell taking home race win number 4. He equals us this season in terms of race victories, and just one behind us in our career in Formula 1. Sebastian Vettel, though, despite me being very, very annoyed with him, he did finish ahead of Bottas, so I guess we can't be too mad at the end of the day. It means we just lose out 3 points to our Finnish rival when all is said and done. Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Lance Stroll, Lando Norris, Albon and Ricciardo were all right behind us at the checkered flag, but all do pick up points there. Red Bull finally getting both cars back into the points once again there. The only really notable result was Hamilton down in 14th at the end of the day. He just got stuck in that queue and couldn't make anything of it there. Jordan King and Pierre Gasly, the 2 cars not making it to the checkered flag. But it means championship-wise now 8 points separate myself and Valtteri Bottas with 3 races to go. It is officially now just a 3-way scrap. It'll either be myself or one of the Mercedes that wins the Drivers' World Championship. Vettel, Verstappen and Russell are all now out of it, but only 16 points separating the 3 of them. Maybe George Russell could finish 4th at the end of the championship still. But looking at the Constructors' battle though, 45 points now between ourselves and Mercedes. That's 23 taken out of them this weekend. That's exactly what we need as we head in towards the final few rounds of this championship. Is it still possible to win the Constructors from absolutely nowhere all season long? The only other battle, though, I can really pick up on: Red Bull, AlphaTauri and McLaren separated by just 2 points as we head in towards the final few races of the year. There's a lot of prize money available in those positions as well. But that'll do us then for this weekend's US Grand Prix. A big, big thank you to all of you, those of you that have made it to the end of this video. Get yourself subscribed, leave a like as well, and we will hopefully be back tomorrow ready for the Mexican Grand Prix. I can remember what tracks we're racing at. You guys do not want to miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.